If you are just joining us, thank you very much for taking in the action on the Alpha Live YouTube channel of the opening round of the Cadet and Junior Kart Championship live here from Fulbeck in Lincolnshire. Heat number 2 for Junior Pro Kart is almost with us. Christian Oblang will start on pole position with reigning champion Max Shields alongside. He won the first heat as well, with Conor McCarthy and Sophie Pawsey on row 2. Harrison Johns and Sebastian Pereira are on row 3. Amy Frame and Harry Roddis row 4. Owen Roberts, who came through the field even though he's a novice, to finish well in heat number 1. He starts 9th alongside Harry Brown, who ran well all the way until the final lap when an overtake on Amy Frame didn't quite pan out the way that he wanted, and that dropped him down, and certainly in terms of time. We are having a green flag there for our Junior Pro Karts as they make their way around, but it is a standing start for them, so they're going to have a roll round and get themselves gridded up. So that wasn't a green flag you saw on the screen to get them out racing. That was just a green to confirm that the circuit is clear and they can go round. So we're going to have quite an interesting dynamic in this one, is that Max Shields is going to go the off the front row. The Heat 1 winner and reigning champion. Look for him, certainly in his mind, to get the power down, get round the first corner, and I'm sure he will have aspirations of disappearing off into the distance and leaving the show to everybody else. 10 runners then in our junior class. I'll see if we've got any previous indiscretions off the previous races. I'm fairly sure we're going to pick some up at some point during that Honda race, what with the class being some on wets and some on slicks, and we certainly have. We've had Stanley Clark pick up and gaining an unfair advantage, 5 seconds. Tom Drake and Maximus Lewis as well have picked up front fairing penalties. So that's when the nose comes down on the front of the kart, when they've applied too much pressure on it, often from the kart in front. We are about to go racing then for our Junior Pro Kart class. They've grid up quite quickly. The board is down. The lights are on. The lights are off very quickly, and we're away and racing. And everybody has managed to get cleanly away off the line. This time the second row, unlike the previous one, have managed to go with the rest of them. And Max Shields already leading the way. And Sophie Pawsey with a sensational start goes all the way around the outside of Christian Oblang into the first corner and into second place. Gets it stopped as well for the chicane. So Max Shields then leading the way, as we thought he might do. Gets a good run off the start. Christian Oblang tries to get alongside Sophie Pawsey into the left-hander there down at turn 3. Pawsey slides slightly wide as well on this circuit that still looks quite slippy out there, despite the fact that most of the runners on the previous race were going much quicker on slicks, but they do have a much softer compound, as Christian Oblang forces Sophie Pawsey wide in a move akin to touring cars, has a little bit of a bump and run, and forces Pawsey wide and goes straight down the inside the gap, and Pawsey's going to come back down the inside into the first chicane, as you know. I think she would have needed the help there from Conor McCarthy just to push her all the way through, but she's had to then slot back into third place. McCarthy now comes to the inside of Sophie Pawsey, and that first corner, you see it a lot here at Fulbeck, is it looks like the driver is leaving the door open, and they're not. It's not a normal radius of hairpin. The early part of the corner is quite open, and it tightens up as you go round that corner. It is a decreasing radius hairpin, so the optimum line is to go wide and then clip the hairpin curb almost 3/4 of the way round that corner. That's the quick line, but in doing so, you do leave the door open for the rest of the field to charge down the inside into that corner, and that's why it's the most favoured overtaking spot on this Fulbeck circuit. Over the line they come then to begin at lap number 3. Maximus Shields leading the way then from Oblang, Pawsey. McCarthy, and Pawsey outbrakes herself into the first chicane and goes straight through the cones, and that's going to incur a penalty. She slots back into her third place, but Pawsey unable to get the kart stopped. She keeps hold of P3, but she will incur the wrath of the race director for that one. Shields then leads from Oblang. Pawsey in P3, but will likely pick up a penalty. Then we've got McCarthy, Pereira, Frame, Roberts, Roddis, Harrison Johns, and Harry Brown. And now that's the 74 of Conor McCarthy down the inside. Sebastian Pereira tried to do the same, but then in his haste to get through, took a huge amount of curb, and that balked his exit, as now Pawsey and McCarthy battle it out. as they go through, and we still have 5 minutes remaining in what has been an incredibly intense opening couple of laps in this race here. Junior Pro Kart Heat number 2, as we head towards the lunch break in around about an hour's time. See there, Pawsey leaves the door open, although this time doesn't actually clip the curb. She just runs all the way around the outside and holds on to that position, with Pereira now closing in, and Pawsey needs to reset effectively, having missed that chicane, needs to reset, reevaluate this race, because it certainly takes quite a lot of mental strength when you know that you've picked up a penalty, almost certainly, and Sophie Pawsey seems now to not be driving with the same sort of confidence she did in the early part of this race. A shake of the head as Sebastian Pereira tries to put the number 21 in a position that certainly a cadet might fit, but a junior pro kart certainly wouldn't, which was down the inside into the 5, 6, 7 complex of corners. But yeah, Sophie Pawsey just needs to reevaluate now, reset ever so slightly, leaves the door open this time as Seb Pereira goes down the inside, but she will get on the power, and that outside line actually on this circuit that is still a little bit greasy is certainly allowing her to get the power down earlier, and is holding on to that position. So I wouldn't be too worried about leaving the door open there for Pereira, unless he manages to carry a huge amount of speed down the inside in that corner and then just force Pawsey wide onto the rumble strip. Half race distance out at the front. Max Shields leading the way then from Christian Oblang and Connor McCarthy, as this time Pawsey does run wide on her own volition, not at the point of the track where she wanted to though, and Sebastian Pereira moves up into 4th place. Pawsey tries to get alongside Pereira, gets the kart stopped though and has to slot into now P5. Behind though, the charging Owen Roberts, who gave a very, very good account of himself in the first race of the day in our junior pro kart class, and is now trying to move up onto the back of Sophie Pawsey. Behind, we've got Amy Frame, not too far back either, and then we've got a fairly even split then between Harrison Johns, Harry Roddis and Harry Brown. We've got around about 2 seconds between each of them in 8th, 9th and 10th respectively. So as in the previous junior pro kart race, it has settled itself down with 3 minutes remaining. Certainly after Pereira had managed to find a way through Sophie Pawsey. As comments continue to stream in, thank you very much. If you are watching and you do want to comment, you do need to hit the subscribe button. Not only will that keep you up to date with all the action here today at the CKC and JKC, but you'll also be notified of all of the times that Alpha Live go live throughout the season. There's not many weekends that Alpha aren't out streaming not only action in karting, but also circuit racing for cars, motocross as well, and bikes all throughout the year. It is the go-to place for your karting action. And if you are enjoying the action, please do give us a little like as well. We do like that, as Maximus Shields plugs in the fastest lap of the race. And we were saying this previously in the previous race with Aston Brown, is that it's all well and good the driver at the front plugging in the fastest lap and when they've got a comfortable gap, but often it is the way that they prefer it, because if you start easing off and slowing it down, you do start making mistakes that you wouldn't normally make previously, because your concentration levels naturally drop with the rest of it. As Harry Brown sets the and there's heavy contact from the number 7 of Owen Roberts, and I don't think that was to do with his driving. I think the wheel had brought itself loose, because they don't just bounce off like that after contact. Owen Roberts into the tyre wall on the outside of turn 1, the wheel rolling away down the circuit in commiseration. That kart's going to be parked there. We're going to have wave yellows down there, so there'll be no overtaking opportunities. They're going to try and drag that kart off the track. The marshal doing the correct idea though, and sending the driver to the sanctuary of the infield. That kart's going to get parked as the yellow flags are out there. We've still got a minute remaining, so we're going to have 3 more laps, and let's see whether there's going to be enough gap in the traffic to get that kart off the circuit. But heavy contact for Owen Roberts sees that kart off into the tyre wall, and as the wheels came off the race for Owen Roberts, into the tyre wall and into retirement for the driver of the 7, who's had a strong race day so far and is currently down there holding the wheel that departed his number 7 machine. 26 seconds remaining then for Max Shields. He's going to get 2 more laps at this because the time isn't going to elapse by the time that he comes through. Although it looks like we might have added another 10 seconds to the race at the top. No, he's come through and it's dropped back down to 16 seconds. So he will get the last lap board next time round for Max Shields. The kart is being moved down that end of the circuit, but I think the yellows are still going to be out by the time that Shields comes through. Their top work from the marshals here at Fulbeck to clear the circuit. And this battle on screen is between Harry Roddice and Harry Brown. And Brown is closing in on the previous lap, 1.5 seconds quicker than Harry Roddice. So all the way down the field, we've got continuous battling. This one for 8th place. And Harry Brown chops right, chops left, but can't chop away through Harry Roddice. The last lap board will be out for Max Shields when he comes through in a few moments' time. And Harry Brown goes to the inside, hard on the brakes. Can he get it stopped? He popped out of the slipstream, popped back in the slipstream, popped out again. A little bit of indecision there from the driver of the 47, Harry Brown, joining us from Denton in Manchester, one of the youngest runners in this junior pro kart class. Maybe he needs to just have a little bit more confidence in his conviction at getting through there on Harry Roddice and giving Roddice the decision to make as to whether he's going to fight it too much. But Harry Brown giving another good account of himself. And once again, it looks like Roddice is having some problems just getting the kart purchased on the way out of that corner. Last lap board is out for our race leader, Maximus Shields. He's making his way round the other part of the circuit. There he is coming through. Now the sun baking down here at Fulbeck in Lincolnshire after that shower around about half an hour ago. And Max Shields is going to make it 2 junior pro kart races and 2 victories. What a way to start his 2022 season. The checkered flag is out and Max Shields wins heat number 2 in junior pro kart.